It's 8 o'clock. The chickens are getting fed. The dogs are doing their business. And I'm going to do a garden tour. Put it off for long enough. I need to harvest the spinach before this all bolts and goes to seed. Slash, it may have already. Mistakes! Bad about taking the befores. So I'm going to try to take a before. I do all of the work that I'm going to do. Woo! Before. It's not bad. It's like a whole thing. This is where my kid clearly got a carrot last night. Okay, before. Midway point. Getting there. It's so getting there. Currants, blueberries, apples, cherries. Everything's coming out of dormancy and blossoming. My broad beans are okay. There are some tomatoes in there that are not dead yet, so that's kind of a win. Baby carrots, salad. The remnants of garlic and leeks and spring onions that I tried to grow from seed last year. It's fine. Spinach that is bolting. I think this is a new variety, and even though it has not been warm at all, I'm fairly certain it is a winter variety, and it could not deal with anything over like 15 Celsius. So I pulled out a whole bunch of this in the front, and I'll pull this out today. The salads are fine. But yeah, so I'm gonna need to plant some more spinach. It's fine. This has beets and some volunteer Netherlands spinach. So this guy came up on his own. So I had grew this variety in here last year. So this tells me it's time to put its friends in the ground. So yeah, we'll put some of those around to replace. Time for summer. Yeah, more beets, a couple Brussels, parsnips from last year that I'm hoping will grow. Actual parsnips, but most likely they're gonna start setting seed, and yeah, maybe I'll get parsnips this year sometime. It's chickweed, other weeds, just weeding. Carrot, errant carrot from last year, onion grown from seed, Brussels sprouts, chickweed and grass, because of course. And then this is, I don't know what it is yet. I thought this was pineapple weed, but it's growing funny. So this may just be a weed. We'll see. I need to wait for it to come up. So once it sets flowers, then I'll know if it's silly. I grew pineapple weed in here last year, so I was hoping that it would volunteer and come back. And so all of these little rosettes I thought was pineapple weed, but it might not be. It's okay. That's definitely pineapple weed there. This may be something else. We'll see. It's okay. Sweet potatoes in a bag that are not doing very well. Brussels sprouts in a weird plastic bucket we found buried in the yard, doing pretty well, with some carrots growing around them, and onion sets, which those are doing great. This box is just super sad, which I need to figure out what's going on there, but that is a future Lauren problem. I have a patch of corn there, and a sunchoke, and some onions, our weird little pine tree. My melon patch is doing okay. This is the mustard greens, just store-bought brown and yellow mustard. That side's brown, this side is yellow, that I overseeded because we're trying to collect the seeds. So just threw some mustard seeds in there to grow our own mustard, to harvest the seeds, to make mustard for Christmas because we were weirdos, and they are just now starting to flower. I was harvesting the first rounds of them and eating them. So, like, you can eat them. I stir fry them. They're tasty. Brussels sprouts, spring onions, kale, and cauliflowers. I did a crazy thing and did a whole seed packet in the back of Brussels sprouts, a whole seed packet of kale in the middle, and then a whole seed packet of cauliflower, with the plan to thin them out and harvest the babies and eat them. The cauliflower barely survived the weather and pests that we had. The kale in the middle, super patchy sad, but on the ends, like there's tons, so I'm harvesting them. And then the Brussels sprouts are great, and I've like transplanted a bunch of these out, moved them around. So anyone who tells you Brussels sprouts are hard to grow, they're hard to get sprouts, but in terms of a plant, they are much hardier than cauliflower, kale, or the Brussels sprouts. Like the three of them, Brussels sprouts make me feel much more successful. The kale, it's fine. The cauliflower, this is ridiculously hard to keep alive and to keep the pests off. So yeah, Brussels for me, always a winner. I'm super into them. That also has to do with my climate. Southern Sweden, 7A, kind of maritime-ish, temperate, oceanic-ish. But yeah, not hot, not terribly humid, lots of rain, but the air itself is not terribly humid. Carrots that are finally coming together with, wood sorrel. Or not wood sorrel, just regular sorrel. Yellow dog, common sorrel, which is super tasty, but this is not where I want it to be growing, and it grows in my walkways and my paths enough. I put this in salads and I make lemonades out of it and stuff, so it's good. Like heavily seeded, too heavily seeded experiments that are going to fail because I have made a terrible mistake, but it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, that's just not what you want in your carrot bed. But it's okay. They're just going to compete because they're both taproots, which is why once you have sorrel established, it's very hard to get rid of it. Which I think is funny that now they're selling it as a vegetable in the States. Right? Like, you can buy yellow dock and stuff. It's like, you don't need to buy it. Just go outside. Find a plant and just dig it up. Plant it again. Nope. Well, that's a teeny tiny baby carrot that I pulled up instead. Mistakes! But yeah, it's just all in here, and I need to not be distracted and go back to just, oh, that's clover, white clover. Yeah, back to doing what I was supposed to be doing, which was filming a garden tour for you instead of weeding the garden. But I guess this counts as being in the garden and giving a tour because this is just real life and it's a mess. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, no. It's also one of those things. It's like if you don't do it when you see it, you will never do it. Right? Like you'll forget by the time you go back inside and then you won't make it happen. But yeah, but here's more carrots. I've got carrots plucked in all over because my boyfriend and my kids are carrot monsters. So I can never grow enough carrots. And the kids are now coming out and picking their own, which is super cool. I think there's some radishes on the other side of this giant morov, which I think is a turnip. I don't know. My Swedish isn't good enough. But yeah, this is Brassica Central. Parsley from many years ago. I just set seeds and it's good. Fennel, more carrots, onions. I think that's a Brussels sprout that I transplanted. I don't remember. It might be a broccoli. It might, who knows? It's a brassica. I can eat it. That's my plan. All of these carrots are from seed that I saved last year. So this is the first time I've saved carrot seed. And I tried Jess's method with the board over it. and it didn't work for me. I pulled the board off, and then like a month, and I put a row cover over this, and when I put the row cover on, then they came up. And I think that's just because of my climate. Like, it's just too wet and cold, and so it needed wind protection and a little bit of warmth rather than the pressure to keep it. I like to keep them from germinating. But yeah, so all these carrots are carrots that were free, and I still have more seeds in the basement. But yeah, and then that's a Brussels sprout, and that's a Brussels sprout, and these are all from there. Like, I pulled them out and transplanted them over. These are the beginnings, a beautiful, ridiculous amount of berries. We should get a really nice harvest of berries this year. Normally we only have a couple to snack on, but this is looking really promising. Oh yeah, there's just tons of clusters. This plant is 3 years old, 3 or 4 years old now, I think. And so, yeah, it just took a while to get established, and now it's very happy. It probably doesn't hurt that I built this bed right here, and the bottom of it was full of chicken manure. And so it's just chicken bedding, 2 layers of chicken bedding, like hot, fresh on the bottom, and then aged in the middle, and then the top was finished planting soil from the recycling center. So, but that's going to run off, and they're going to be able to feed off of that. So that may be what's happening here, is that it just got heavily fertilized by this new bed, and then we got a bunch of rain. So I don't know why it's doing so well, but I don't care because it's doing so well. I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to be happy and hope that we have all the food. Okay. My dogs are jerks, and they've been eating my broad beans. It's fine. It's fine. This is the magic and the wonder that is this chaos. But I see what looks like slug or caterpillar damage on that dino kale. So I need to go investigate and handle some nonsense. Also, that kohlrabi is enormous and starting to bulb up finally. So that will be a harvest soon. Hooray! That almost makes up for the fact that I'm pretty sure that there is a cabbage white in my greenhouse. It's fine. Yeah. Sweet potatoes in a bucket are doing the best out of all the sweet potatoes. And yeah, these tomatoes are starting to flower. So hopefully soon, tomatoes. And the beets are doing good. We had a couple of them last night. And then those are more transplants that I need to find homes for. It's fine. It's fine. Hello, chickens. And so they're having the spinach that I pulled out from the front for breakfast. This area gets more shade, so this is slower to bolt, but it was starting to bolt, so I harvested everything that was in there. And we've been picking leaves for salads and eating them, but I'm going to have to... I know, chicken! I'm going to have to replant spinach today, which is fine. I have some spaces that need to be filled, so that's good. Ground elder, bane of my existence. I know, I hear you, chicken. Ground elder. Some people love it. I hate you. My other corn patch with ground elder invading. Brussels sprout being decimated by bugs, which is fine. I need to come out here and weed some more because apparently I forgot to do this part of the bed. I did all the other parts of the bed yesterday, but I apparently forgot to do this section. It's fine. Ugh. But yeah, we've got some brassicas. I think these were Swedes or rutabagas, and then a volunteer salad. It's fine. Some beets, some broccoli that the variety was unknown because it was from like broccoli for sprouting, like in a jar in the kitchen, and I grew some in the greenhouse just to see. And yeah, they're super sprouty. Don't know, they will never make heads, so I've just been pulling them out as they needed to be pulled out because they needed to be pulled out. Changes bushes up front. I need to do something about those buckets because they're not as happy, which is fine. New covers to try and help things be protected and better. But yeah, there's broccoli in there. I can't see with you because this is too hard to try and manage. But yeah, I'll review this and I'll probably have to come out here and get the rest of the broccoli that was from the sprouts. So we'll see. But yeah, I like the theory of this, but I can't see through it, so I don't know that I actually like the reality of it. This is my mixed Asian greens. This was seeds from a salad mix that I had bought like 3 years ago and forgot to plant, and then threw them in here thinking that the germination would be terrible, and instead this is what I have. Some of these are starting to flower and bolt, these choys, which that makes sense. It's fine. But I'll need to come through and do a massive harvest of these and then fry them up. I put some holy basil in here. It's not doing so well. Threw some cilantro in here yesterday. It's doing fine. And then I think that is a purple sprouting broccoli. So hopefully that will make it through the winter. Or through the winter. That's how purple sprouting broccoli works. I'm a little early on that, but that area grows so slow because it's in half shade most of the day. I'm going to do the greenhouse last because lots of changes. Chinese cabbage, dill, cilantro, onions. I just keep changing out what's in here. It keeps dying. Onions, cilantro, kohlrabi. Put some celery in here. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be okay. We'll see. But yeah, we're reorganizing and trying to make it make sense. This is a Brussels sprout bed that's undercover, but I put the pine shavings on top following Luke's advice, and they're not doing great. Both of my beds that have pine shavings are not doing great. This is kind of the insane wood sorrel wild tea garden. Popped in a physalis over here, and then this is another holy basil. These chives have been here for years. There's some celery, cilantro, a Chinese cabbage, and yeah, but mostly this is like the wood sorrel bed. And then constantly fighting the neighbor's lilacs from invading it. So I always come in here and pop these out. And then there's more here. Put some more sweet potatoes in this bag. They're doing okay. My onions and tomatoes on the fence line are doing fine. Yeah. So I need to come out here and get these later for salads. Don't go into the greenhouse yet. Potatoes. My greenhouse potatoes. My outside potatoes. Outside potatoes. Greenhouse potatoes. Artichokes. Tomatoes and onion. Oh look, more carrots. A kale, physalis, kohlrabi, a pumpkin. Put some beans in top of here and some celery on my strawberries, which this is just a laundry basket with a plastic bag that the soil came in. I just put the soil in, just the bag soil inside, cut holes and popped my plants in when I redid the beds last year. So those two little beds back there used to be my strawberry beds, and then I made these into little strawberry planters. So they're good. Salad. This is a salad and carrot experiment. And then the cucumbers are coming up. But a bird pooped in there, so that gets to go away. Goodbye. We don't want to eat that. That's not good. But yeah, hopefully in like another week or two I can put this on top of that, because the cucumbers will be big enough that they can start being trained up and towards the trellis. So that was the plan there. Yeah. And then these are just mirror. But this one, the kohlrabi, did much better, and the kale is doing not so great because it's in the shadow of these potatoes and corn, because I'm a weirdo who planted potatoes and corn. I had extra corn plants, and I was like, I'm just going to put them in here and see what happens. And then the potatoes quickly overran them. And then same thing here. This had corn set like a week after that one. My rose bush, that is glorious and epic. And I don't do anything too, because I don't put effort into things that don't feed us, but I really need to trim them back. They give us really big, beautiful red roses, but that's not the kind of gardener I am. I'm trying to be better about it, but it's just, I know that about myself. The other salad and cucumber one is doing good. Raspberries that are coming out of dormancy, or starting to flower. These are my transplanted raspberries, which are also flowering and happy. Like, I don't know how, but they are. Yeah, more raspberries. And then there's more raspberries that have come up in this bed. So there's at least 3 new plants that I'm going to be able to, I'm letting them get more established, and then I'm going to pull them up and put them in this line. Eventually, the goal is to have raspberries all the way down the fence. But yeah, so it's slowly but surely. The kale. I transplanted some stuff out here yesterday. Think purple sprouting broccoli and Napa cabbage, and then just constantly fighting the ground elder wars. So yeah, and then this is the spinach that got all displaced because my dog got in here and tore it up, and then it's not doing well. So it's fine. It was too stressed out. They're too angry. It's too hot, too cold, too shit. Like, this area doesn't get the best sun in the winter, so it's always very questionable. But yeah, I need to start some more spinach and then transplant it out. And then the birds got at this one really bad. So yeah, we'll see. It's fine. That planter is doing fine. It's actually doing really well. Probably better than I could have expected. It's flowering, right? Which I think these are Saltaki Tomatoes is the variety. But yeah, they're supposed to be big slicers, and they're actually doing really well. And all 3 of them are flowering. So we should get some tomatoes out here soon, which is bananas to me, because this vertical stacking flower pot, right, like, it's got, I think, 3 of these, oh, maybe 4 of these borage plants, and then 3 of the tomatoes, and 3 marigolds. So, like, it's doing really well for just being this small thing. And I haven't given it fertilizer or anything yet. It's just new potting soil, right? So maybe after we get our first harvest of tomatoes, I'll need to do another round. Oh, and I forgot, I popped in some actual cucumber seeds in there. So there's cucumbers, and then the cucumber trap crops, right? So, and then these should be giving me flowers soon that we can put into salads and stuff and have a little cucumber taste. These are really spiky and fuzzy, so they don't feel great as plants, which will hopefully deter some pests, right? That's the reason they exist. That's why they're in the garden. This is my first year growing them, so that's another experiment. The leaves, actually, you can cook them and eat them, and they're okay. Like, I dried some and used them to, like, make a cucumber tea, and that was kind of good. But yeah, I don't know that we'll do that again. But I have a ridiculous amount of them, because I started seed thinking things would not grow, and of course they do. But yeah, this is just the chaos, and it's kind of like they're related, but they are definitely not twins anymore. This is a new variety called Miranda Broccoli. We'll see. It's kind of like more ornamental, open, and hopefully it will be tasty, but we'll see. Some marigolds, tomatoes, peas, volunteer chrysanthemums, all the oregano, some radishes, and then hopefully this one is less ridiculous and I can actually get in there with you. Yeah. So I put this on yesterday. Those are some Swedes, rutabagas, my salad that kept getting attacked by the birds, some bush beans, a celeriac, my teeny tiny sad asparagus. This one always gives me the weirdest spindly asparagus. A tomato that just popped in there. That looks like a phasalis. It could be oregano. I don't know. We'll see. It needs to get bigger. I need to smell it probably, but I don't want to harvest it yet. Yeah. Just trying to protect stuff from the birds. It's mostly what this is. It's just protecting stuff from the birds. Because my bird army is getting overzealous. Blueberries that are flowering in their containers, again, have not done anything to them. Just left them in the container. So, yeah. And then transplanted out a cucumber just now. And then, yeah, I've got some broad beans in here, and some bush beans in here, and a zinnia, and a tomato, and a cucumber, and another cucumber, and some peas. I had planted peas, but I don't know if something ate like all my peas, or if it was just the way our winter was, but most of them did not come up, and we have very sad little harvest of peas right now, whereas last year we were swimming in peas by now. Kale, artichoke, bucket of madness, but we're doing okay. Put in another cucumber here. This is the only place I have peas that are forming, which is funny that it's in the greenhouse. But yeah, so we should be able to get those soon. This is a tomato. I believe it is a yellow pear tomato, which I might pull that out because it's not looking too happy, and turn this into cucumbers. I grew a bunch of tomatoes in there last year. So yeah, but this may be cucumbers and beans. And so these are known as runner beans, which is a family like save seed that a friend of mine in Seattle sent me. So those I put in the greenhouse to keep them protected. Those are the only ones that I cared. And then they're doing meh in there because meh. Oh. So yeah, flowers. This is flowering. So yeah, you get to live another day. These are my transplants that need to get finished. These are my transplants that I brought out to harden off. It's a water spinach and a couple of different types of cucumber. The Miranda Broccoli was in here. And then I pulled some of the cukes out that needed to go and put them out. They were getting too leggy. More tomatoes, just in a little pot. Doing very happy. We moved all this stuff around yesterday. I probably have made an epic mistake by putting this back there because I can't actually reach it. So I'm going to probably have to fix that before I make myself sad. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that today. And then more of them up here. Some pumpkins, and then there's just a bunch of like the leftover sprouting broccoli, which I'm hoping will die up there because it will be too hot for them. Another melting. My peppers, setting all the flowers. Little tiny bush tomato, snack peppers, and then leeks. It's just overplanted in a pot, but they seem to be happy. Yeah. But yeah, those are all container varieties. So all of these are container varieties, and snack peppers and small peppers. And then I'm a silly person who put like bell peppers in potato towers. So we'll see. Yeah. Just different kales, more borage, losing its mind, tomatoes. Right, like I've got 3 tomatoes in here. This is the big reorganization. But yeah, like all my tomatoes in containers are doing great, and I have not pruned them. I know I need to. I know I need to take the suckers off, especially off these sweet 100s, because they're banana pods, but I haven't done it yet. But I will eventually, because this is going to take over the world. Like, I moved this over here last night, and this is just insane. This is what it did since yesterday. Like, I don't think it was even close to being this big, but I'm going to need to come through and do some tomato maintenance, because this is ridiculous. This is silly. But you have blossoms, so I don't want to take you off because I want to eat you. This is the problem. I always let my garden go probably too wild, but it's okay. Know that about yourself. Acknowledge it. We'll see. But yeah, I like a more wild garden. My boyfriend likes a more structured garden. I like more chaos, which I don't know what that says about me, but that's okay. This is basil that I started in the house back in January as micro basil and then transplanted out, and it's just delicious. It's just Genovese basil. And then this is a very tiny, I think, cayenne pepper that is setting blossoms because they're silly. But yeah, and then I put some garlic in here last night when I reorganized all of this. But yeah, there's just a ton of food, probably too much food, growing in a very small space. And just trying to make it happen. And yeah, these are colettes, and you can see they're starting to set little flowers, sprouts, right, in the armpits, which is awesome. That is always the goal on this kind of thing. But this is also like a very silly thing that I'm doing, growing this many in like a tiny thing. So there's 2 here side by side, and then there's 3 in the corner. Yeah, but these are super delicious and tasty, and they are a cross between a kale and a Brussels sprout, and you can eat the harvested leaves when they don't have a ridiculous amount of bug damage. I also find that if you remove the lower leaves on brassicas like this, they will, well, first I have aphids up the wazoo, but they will think that things are eating it, and then they'll set the sprouts more. So by pruning off the lower leaves on my Brussels, I always get a better Brussels harvest, and they start to set sooner. Eggplants and peppers and celeriac where they have failed. Sorry, there's a bug on me. Yeah, so things are going okay. Underneath there is physalis, which is starting to flower. I don't remember what kind of brassica that is, but it's a brassica. That'll be fine. This is the 1,000-head kale and the carrots and onions, and it's doing much happier. I live in Europe, so my boyfriend, we couldn't figure out where to put this, and we're like, oh, well, we'll just put a roundabout. So now we have to go around the roundabout in the greenhouse, which is kind of fun and cute, and I'm not mad about it. So yeah, mint from last year, some beets that are like, there's just way too crowded. I need to thin them out, but I'm kind of using this as like a weird transplant center, so I'm pulling them out and moving them around. And then dinosaur kale, lacinato kale, Toscano Nero is in there, so I'm putting, like, each of those can be in one, and that's all right, but there should be 1 beet in these, but they actually sprouted and stuff. So I always expect things to fail, and then when they don't, I get confused and have to redust. But I've been pulling beets from here and transplanting them out to other places. So yeah, I will continue to do that, because this is basically just an incubation chamber for beets. So I'll have to pull some of these out, put one down there, pull some of these out, put them into other spaces in the garden. And look, there's my bird army already trying to attack stuff. Already attacking stuff. I think they're just thirsty and looking for water, which is fine. But I also think they're building nests. So yeah, I don't know. They're being dangerous. Yeah, that's the garden on, I think, May 30th, maybe the 31st. It's Mother's Day in Sweden. So yeah, so happy Mother's Day to me. I got to go into the garden. The saddest beans, it's fine. Oxalis, yellow pear tomatoes, setting fruit, holy basil that I have neglected, dead lemon, the tomato. First tomato! Oh god, I think I have first tomato on Mother's Day. I do! Look, it's yellow! Yellow pear tomato. Okay, that made me way too happy. I'm sorry. But yeah, this plant just gave me my first tomato in the house. And my dogs are way too excited because I'm excited. But yay! Happy Mother's Day in Sweden. There's a yellow pear tomato. But yeah, so I've lost my mind. Please excuse me. That made me way too happy. Because it's yellow. It's not green like this guy. And that's like a decent size. And that's just growing it out of this tiny little pot. And this was a sucker off another plant that I started in like January. So yeah, we're just getting tomatoes in the house. Like, I don't know how, but we are. And then this basil is flowering. Like, it's silly. This pepper plant is, I keep thinking it's dead, and then it sends out new growth, and I'm like, all right, fine, you get to stay here. It probably just wants to be in the yard. And then this is a sucker off that plant that's rooting itself. These are presents for my boyfriend's mom for Mother's Day. Yeah, mostly tomatillos. A kale in a potato bucket. There might be potatoes under there. And then these are my next round starts with beets and what are you? Oh, calibres, right? Sorrel? Yeah, calibres and beets and I think kohlrabi, fiddlekraut cabbage, which is supposed to be a fast-heading cabbage, red cabbage, summer cabbage, and more colettes to put in the actual yard because all my colettes are currently in the greenhouse. So, I need to water these guys, I think. And then I'm going to harvest some more of my wheatgrass and make my morning smoothie and have the smallest tomato salad ever. Because, oh my gosh, we have a yellow tomato. It ripened with very minimal sunlight in the house, and hopefully it will be delicious. If it's not, it's okay. That's why its friends are outside. But yeah. Oh, thanks for watching.